dig deeper now with Jami Floyd, anchor of In Session's Best Defense, also senior legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin. On the idea of another son, it doesn't really influence anything, although I guess potentially could be an issue in the will.
Sure. It could certainly influence challenges going forward with regard to the estate, which on that last point, the 40-40 and charity split, the real question, I think, for Catherine is how much is the estate worth? I think that's her question on challenging that. But, Joe Jackson, very cagey there. He doesn't say that this boy is that other son. He just says, sure, I knew there was a son. And, yeah, this boy kind of looks like a Jackson. And, yeah, he can dance. But he never says, this is that boy I knew to be the other son.
Joe Jackson does not make sense when he talks. Joe Jackson, I'm serious. I've never heard someone who makes less sense when he talks.
I was just about to say,
sort of like a politician.
If that's what you picked out of what he said, you're
pretty good.
better.
It's like a Rorschach test. You can pick out anything you want from what Joe Jackson says.
I have no idea what he's talking about yet.
Let's talk about more important matters on this subject. The fact that Dr. Conrad Murray had these financial problems and is in foreclosure, does that in any way, Jeff, change the picture?
I feel like I'm here most nights defending Dr. Murray. I don't think this has much to do with anything. He declared bankruptcy in 1992. So what? He had a domestic violence issue, which he was cleared.
Right.
So what? I just, he took this job, which theoretically paid $150,000 a month because he wanted the money. Well, most of us get jobs because we want the money. So I just don't think...
You mean you're not here for the love of talking about this?
I do love talking about this, but it's also nice to get a check. And I think that's true for most people at their jobs. So I don't think the fact that he had financial problems
if somebody
is
so beholden to... if their house is now in foreclosure after not getting paid for 2 months, I guess... it does. I wouldn't want my doctor to be, on the verge of bankruptcy and more liable to do stuff. Perhaps it would make someone more liable to do things.
To keep the patient happy.
Yeah, to do whatever this person wants.
The domestic violence thing is entirely irrelevant to me. This isn't a domestic violence case, so I think it's irrelevant. Right. But I think the state of his financial affairs is highly relevant. And it does reflect, I think, on the quality of his medical care that he could provide to Michael Jackson. This is Michael Jackson. Why does he have this doctor? That's the question I have. And we should say that this doctor's patients have come out in fierce defense of the man in the wake of all of this. But I think there are going to be real questions about the quality of care. Already are real questions about the quality of care that he provided for Michael Jackson, whether it's accident, negligence, nothing at all. But I don't think it's irrelevant that the man, from almost the very beginning of his career as a practicing physician, could not manage his financial affairs as a doctor and just as a citizen in Nevada and in the other places where he practiced.
I want to talk about the legal battle and also the financial battle that seems to be brewing. We're going to stay with us for a moment. Back now, digging deeper, our legal panel in Sessions, Jami Floyd, and CNN's Jeffrey Toobin. So, let's talk about this financial battle. Does this seem, Jeff, like a case of a mom just protecting her brood and wanting... if she was not named an executor in the will, what right does she have to try to become a co-executive?
I don't think she has any rights. I think this is sort of a general shot across the bow. Don't neglect me. Don't cut me out of the action. But look, if Michael Jackson had wanted her to be his executor, he could have named her. He didn't. He named 2 professional people, and she's on the outside. And this, I think, is not a legally defensible action she's taking.
There is a no contest, though, clause in the will, so that if somebody contests the will, then they no longer become a beneficiary of it.
Very carefully, she is not yet contesting. Right. She is asking for documents. She's asking to be just certain information, but she is she's no dummy. She's not risking her.
So are executors of his will under any legal obligation to give her documents?
Yeah, they are. They have to act in good faith and with the court, and they will. And one of the things that's nice about estates and trusts, although in law school perhaps it's not the most interesting of subjects, but one of the things that's great about it is you look at the document and it's pretty clear what the now deceased person wanted to have happen. And I think that's what will happen here.
And this will is pretty clear.
It's pretty clear. And
right, every paragraph is initialed.
Every paragraph is initialed. And as long as these folks act in good faith and she doesn't officially contest the will, I think it'll all shake itself out pretty quickly.
Well, in terms of the case against Dr. Murray, where do you see this going? What happens next?
Well, the
if
prosecutors...
it's true, Randy had one source, federal source, saying that they are zeroing in on Dr. Murray, but there are apparently more than a dozen doctors out there.
That's the feds.
Right. There are more than a dozen doctors out there who prescribe drugs.
There are two real issues with this case. One is, did he act unlawfully? Did he do something wrong in the last days of Michael Jackson's life? That's an important question to answer. The larger question that I think a responsible investigation will do is, what is the context here? How much access did Michael Jackson have to drugs? What other doctors were giving him drugs? What is Michael Jackson's history of taking drugs himself? What names did he use? All of that you will need to know, because if you prosecute Murray, he's going to say, why are you looking at me? There's this long history out there of other people who were involved as well.
I think when that report comes out, that toxicology, that's the watershed here. The cause of death, I don't think, is going to be as entirely clear as we think. I don't think it's necessarily going to be that moment in time where Murray's standing over Michael Jackson and some untoward intentional act happens, which is sort of the speculative thinking that's going on now. I don't think that's what happened at all. And when that report comes out, it may well be that the feds and certainly local law enforcement start looking at some other doctors that had interactions with Michael Jackson, plastic surgeons and others who perhaps were involved in procuring medications for him that maybe he shouldn't have had access to, using aliases and the like. And we know that prescription drug medication and overdose and overuse and abuse is a growing problem in this country, and this may be a big case that helps blow that wide open.
All right, Jami Floyd, appreciate it.